Hey up guys, welcome to An Idiot Mod Skyrim, Part 10, Campfires and Frostfall. To continue where we started last episode, where we got our character ready to handle the cold, harsh environments of Skyrim, we're now going to have a pair of mods that work together. Will not only make our character feel the cold weather, but also give them the ability to build campfires and tents to protect themselves from the environment. So the two mods in question are on the Nexus, and the first one is Campfire, Complete Camping System by Chesco. This is the mod author who did Frostfall, and it seems that he has now actually split Frostfall into two separate mods. There is the hypothermia that is still Frostfall, and the camping part, which is now the Campfire Complete Camping System mod. And if you read here, it does actually say that it has come from Frostfall 2.6's unique immersive camping system. So you can now have the camping experience without having to have the hypothermia experience as well, if you choose that way. Obviously I had Frostfall in my playthrough, so I need to continue having that, and if I want to have Frostfall I have to have Campfire because it is dependent on it. Before going any further, I will point out that this is one of those mods that is constantly being upgraded, and I would recommend having a look in the posts just to see what the mod author has planned for the next release. Just go down a little bit further. You'll see Campfire is a camping mod that lets you build a campfire, lets you create and build camping equipment, allows you to search for resources and advance your skills using Campfire's unique skill system. And that's this red axe here. Very much like the normal skill tree, you climb up the axe as you progress. The mod author also states that Campfire is a foundation for other mods, and as you can see he recommends Frostfall here, but there are several other mods that it is compatible with, and it also has a modders framework, and here are a few samples of some mods that have been created from the modders framework. If you want to read into more detail of things that are coming in the near future, there is skyrimsurvival.com, and then we get to the requirements, and basically all you need is the game. If you don't have SKSE, it will not have the instincts or the settings profiles, and if you don't have SkyUI, then you won't have access to the MCM, the hotkeys, or some of the setting profile features. If you've been following my series so far, we have the latest version of SKSE and SkyUI. You will notice that this is not compatible with version 2.6 or older of Frostfall. When we go along to Frostfall, there is instructions on how to update your game there. So we can go along to Files, and you want Campfire 1.7.1. At the time of this recording it's the most recent version, and we want to download Manager. And the second mod for today is Frostfall Hypothermia Camping Survival, also by Chesco. As I said, this is the sister mod to Campfire really. Once again, this is another active mod. The creator is quite active and constantly updating this mod, and you shouldn't have really any problems updating. He did state on Campfire that you can update to the latest version. You just install the new version and uninstall the old version. So if we have a quick scroll down the page, the three main components of Frostfall are hypothermia, cold water survival and camping, and that it does require that you have Campfire, SKSE and the SkyUI, and there is actually a SkyUI add-on for this mod that we'll be downloading soon. Frostfall is compatible with an awful lot of mods, including things like Wet and Cold and Climates of Tamriel, but it's this one here, Real Shelter, that has really piqued my interest, and one that I will be hopefully adding to my load order in the near future. And it's just a mod that stops rain and snow permeating where it shouldn't do, so if you're under a cover of a building you shouldn't be getting snow, or if you're inside a building that you can see into the outside from, you should be gaining shelter from the building, but at the moment in the game rain and snow permeate through buildings. There is a quick installation and upgrade guide here, so if you click on this you're brought to the quick start guide. I have had a good read through this guys, and I have followed the instructions here where it says I use Frostfall 2.6 in my existing game and I want to upgrade to Frostfall 3, and I am following these instructions to the letter on a separate machine, and have actually got my game, I believe, stable after the upgrade to Frostfall version 3 with Campfires. More news on that in the near future when I get this computer's load order up to match my old setup. So we'll go back to Frostfall. There's really little else here that we need to read, so let's go on to Files and get it downloaded. So we want the latest version, which is Frostfall 3.0.3. So download that with Manager. I have SkyUI, I have Campfire, Complete Camping System, and I have SKSC, so continue with my download. And I also want the SkyUI 5.1 add-on for Frostfall. So download that with Manager as well. I'm going to go along to Mod Organizer and get these mods installed. Right, so once in Mod Organizer, you'll notice I've had a bit of a clear up here, guys. All I've done is right clicked and removed from view all the mods that I have installed so far, with a few exceptions. Because I know I'm going to have to reinstall Khajiit Speak Complete Dialogue Overhaul in the near future, that's a reminder for me. And the fact that I don't have Immersive Weapons yet installed, and this is a Noctatip patch for it, there's no point in installing this yet. So I'm leaving it here so I don't forget in future. So we can get Campfire installed. So it's standard installation, double click, manual, looks good, click OK and enable it, and the same for Frostfall, manual, looks good, click OK, and then there is the SkyUI add-on for Frostfall. So double click and manual, and looks good, click OK, and I'm going to merge it with the other one because I won't be having this without the UI add-on. Can now enable them both together. Let's go on to plugins, make sure they are in. Now I did notice that Frostfall wants to be as high in my load order as possible, and that Campfires is actually an ESM, or an Elder Scrolls Master. That means that it will always be relatively high in our load order. Just to make sure everything's in the right order, I'm going to loot, and I'm going to sort plugins and click apply, and we have a new release of loot. I'll have to update that. And it's moved. Right, so I'll just close that and let's have a look at where this plugin is. If for some reason it's been left reasonably low in our load order, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it up and put it just below the high-res texture packs manually. So click and hold and drag up to there. What the mod author recommends is that this is higher than anything that changes things like inns or taverns or things like that. So I want it above purity just for the simple fact that actually purity should be down the bottom end, I believe. Let's leave those like that, and we can go in game and have a look and see how things are. Right, so we get a started Frostfall and reflect on cold weather warning. As of yet, those two mods are not fully installed. We are waiting for the MCM menus to kick in, and this may take some time. So we'll just stand here and I will come back to you when the MCMs have kicked in. What Lee Sedwood is dressed for the weather, even though he doesn't yet feel it. Have to get you to a healer, Ilya, your cough's getting worse. Right, we just had a warning that there are several MCM menus installed, so we can now go into our MCM menus and have a look. And yes, Frostfall's there. And so is Campfires. Now I'm not quite ready to start Frostfall. I'm just going to wait a few minutes. Right, so there are a few ways of starting Frostfall. There is the boring way of going into the MCM menu, going into Frostfall, going into Overview, and enabling it here. Or my preferred choice, which is on a cold, clear night, to stare up into the sky, gaze on the beauty, and start Frostfall this way. Lost in thought, you reflect back on how much the wilds have taught you about yourself over the last several days. You recall a book you once lost that was full of wisdom about survival in the open country. On a whim, you open your pack and find the Survival's Guide to Skyrim staring back at you. Had it always been there, or had thought alone summoned it? You push aside the thought as you thumb through its pages and then carefully place it back, knowing that some things are never truly lost. And we click OK. We now have a book called Survivor's Guide to Skyrim. I would recommend that you peruse it at your leisure, and we are now prepared to face a harsher Skyrim. And you'll get information like this as you go along. So this area is cold and your exposure will begin to increase. The indicator at the top of your screen, if enabled, shows the current temperature ranging from frigid, nearly empty, to warm, full. And you'll see we have a meter in the top middle of our screen showing you how cold the area is, and we have a bar to the top right showing you how cold we are. And as it gets deeper in blue, the colder we get. So I suggest we get out of here earlier. Doing things like running and fighting do limit the amount of cold that you get because you're using your muscles and building up heat within your system. However, as you'll see, my exposure has increased and your skills are beginning to suffer. You should find a fire to warm up. Increasing your warmth can reduce the rate of exposure. At very high exposure, you will pass out and wake up somewhere else by default. Now, in the original versions of Frostfall, you got severe exposure, you died. And you still have that as an option. However, he has now got it that you will awaken somewhere else. So basically you get dragged to an inn or a tavern that you can set up in the MCM menu. So we can see if we can get anywhere. Ah yes, and by the way guys, a little sneaky hint here. Snowberries are going to become very important to you. Especially if you like swimming. Where exactly am I? Right, so we get the idea. I'm getting cold. And I have very little survival gear on me. As a matter of fact, I have nothing to make a fire with, and I have no tent with me at all. So really, I should be going somewhere and making myself a tent and other things. So I'm going to go and fast travel back to my home, back in Whiterun, and get some crafting done. Now back in Whiterun, the temperature is a bit more agreeable, and I'm starting to warm up.
Gotta keep my eyes open. Damn dragons could swoop down at any time.
Yes, they could. Although I am trying to kill them from time to time. I feel completely warm. Right, I'm going to go in here, get some crafting gear, and we'll go down to War Maidens and get some stuff made. Right, so Adrian, can I use your tanning rack, please?
Got some good pieces out here if you're looking to buy. More inside.
No, I want to use that. Thank you. Right, so as part of Frostfall, we can now make ourselves a backpack as well. So I will go with a white one to go with my cloak. I will also make myself a tent if I can find one. A small leather tent with a bedroll. Can I not make a bigger one? I need some fur plates. Right, I need to make some fur plates, so I'm going to make fur plates. Right, so I now should be able to make myself a large fur tent. So I'll do that now. And how do I make a large leather tent? I need 22 leather, and I've only got 14, so I need to make some leather. I can now make a large leather tent as well. I think that's it for the time being. That's all I need. I can now equip my backpack. There we go. As you'll notice, I have a tent attached to the bottom of this backpack and a torch attached to the right hand side. I need a wood chopping axe to complete this little set, and I could do with some wood as well. Now, Adriana, have you got...
I don't claim to be the best blacksmith in Whiterun. Your
Yeah, okay, have you got an
got
axe?
that honor.
Have you
Take
got a
a
wood
look.
chopper's axe? A woodcutter's axe. No, you don't. Oh, let's see if we can nick one from somewhere. Well, I've just fast travelled out to Riverwood to see if they can find... There was an axe around here, if I remember correctly, wasn't there? It's on the table over here. There you go. We have a woodcutter's axe. I can now go and chop some wood to start some fires with. Right, so that's the wood chopping done. We now have an axe also attached to our backpack as well, so we now have the full survival equipment that we need for surviving in the wilds. Well, to an extent. So, for that purpose alone, let's go out into the wild somewhere and go and get cold again. Right, so we're back to roughly where we were at the start of this. I'm feeling comfortable, which means that I'm just starting to start feeling cold anytime now. We're in a very bitter cold area, and I need to start thinking about creating a fire and maybe putting a tent up to keep me warm. But before I do any of that, I'm going to go into the MCM menu and set up some things. So, escape button, mod configuration, and to Frostfall. Click overview, we have it enabled, it's enabled in running, player stats, etc. Want to go into gameplay, and as you'll see, we have a world coming soon. As I said, this is one of those mods that is constantly being updated, and there are things to come soon. We have hotkeys we can set up, so weather sense. Now I used to have it set on this key, so that's where it's going to be from now on. We have exposure rate. I'm going to leave it at the standard, which is 1 times. You can range it from 0 times to 3 times. So if you want to have the Frostfall on and have no exposure rate, you could set it to 0, 0 and it shouldn't get any exposure, you should be fine. You also get to choose what happens when you are at maximum exposure, and you have a choice of nothing, rescued, or death. Rescue is the new option. I'm going to leave that set as it is for the time being. Exit that. Frigid water is dangerous. Well, yes, plunging into the freezing cold water around Skyrim is going to knock the wind out of you and leave you severely struggling, as in real life. Pause exposure during dialogues. Yeah, well, you're going to be getting cold when you're talking to somebody, and when you're fighting somebody, well, it makes sense, you're going to actually warm yourself up a little bit, so that's it. High exposure slows you down, but I think it's 15%. And then we get vampire behaviour, well, supernatural because they are. I can now disable fast travel and disable waiting outdoors if I choose to. I'll leave that choice up to you. I am going to disable fast travel in my playthrough, but for the time being I'm going to be leaving that as it is. Armour and clothing is coming in Frostfall 3.1. That will mean that you will be able to see how good at covering you your armour is. In Frostfall 2.6 that was already included, and as a matter of fact you could look at your items and improve them so that, like my character Magrio, if he's been in Skyrim for a while, his winter fur will be coming in and therefore armour will protect him that little bit better. Yeah, the frost shader's on, wetness shader's on, sound effects are on. All those are fine. The hand warming animation is rather nice. along with the follower animations. The screen aspect ratio, obviously I'm using a 16:9 monitor. I want the meters to come on as and when I need them rather than being always on. Otherwise, what's the point of having eye HUD and things like that? Contextual display, so it displays for 3 seconds before it disappears. 100% opacity. I can leave that as it is. Profiles, you can create your own profile, so if you're going to have several characters having that, that's fine. Obviously this is a test one, so I don't need that right now. And advanced settings, I don't need to restore my perk progress because I had no perks built up with my character in my game anyway, and this is a vanilla character, so you don't have any perks at all. So that's Frostfall set up and ready to go. Let's have a look at Campfires. So gameplay for Campfire. Player removes gear intent, that's fair enough. Camping illegal in settled areas, so you can't do it in houses or in cities, inns, etc. But you can do it inside dungeons and caves and anywhere in the wilderness, that's fine. Camping equipment can burn. So if you put your tent too close to the fire, or gets hit by a flame spell or a shout, it can destroy your tent. I'll have to think about that one. Then you have a collection of hotkeys you can set. Now this used to be just one button, and you got to create items, build campfires, harvest wood. Instincts is new. I believe that he's added a sense creatures near you type thing in Instincts, so that if you're playing a hunter, you'll be able to trace the deers that you're chasing or whatever creature it is you're chasing a little bit easier. So let's set up some keys. Well, to build a campfire I will go with the opposite one of that, that's fine. To create an item I will use that one, and to harvest wood I will use that one, and for instincts I will probably use that one. This is just a rough setup. Advanced object placement, if enabled, placement indicator will allow you the way to look and move and snap to the slope of the terrain, that's fine. Contract followers, that's also fine. Equipping overhaul I don't have at the moment, but will have at some point. I believe that's one of the mods I'm going to have coming in, I think. Or is it my smart arrows one? I'm not sure, it's one of those. Once again, no need to respec any points there. There is tutorials for absolutely everything you need to do. And once again, profiles. As I said, this is just a testing one, so for the time being I'm fine. So let's go and have a look about building a fire, which if I remember correctly is this key. And you get a ring of stones to place down anywhere. Now I'm going to put it on a nice level surface, so let's go a little bit further up. Here we go. I will place it there. I want to place it there, thank you. Now I want to use the campfire. I'm starting to feel chilly, so the sooner the better. I want to use it. I don't want to sit by it, I don't want to destroy it, and I don't want to get my skills at the moment. I want to use it. And it will show the campfire building tutorial. Yes please. Campfires can be created by combining 3 things: fuel, tinder and a spark. Start by selecting build a fire, add fuel, and you use branches, kindling or ruined books as a starting fuel. So we now have a use for ruined books, which is always helpful. So I want to make kindling, so I can use a roll of paper or I can use my firewood. So I'm going to create some from firewood. I now have enough to start a fire, well, to add fuel to the fire, so add that. Select build fire, add tinder, which I've just done. Tinder is used to catch a spark in order to ignite your fuel. Many different items can be used as tinder. Each add tinder recipe shows the quality of the tinder. The higher the quality, the faster your campfire can be lit. The tinder you choose is what determines how long it takes to light your fire. Okay, so let that go. And I will use some wood shavings for kindling. There you go. Add that to the fire. Finally, select Build Fire, Light. You can light your fire by striking a stone or using magic. If you move or get hit, the lighting process is cancelled and tinder will be lost. Okay, well I think we're pretty safe. I can use my strike stone or I can use magic. Well, I'll use the strike stone. There you go, and you'll see my character is now trying to light a fire. It takes a few seconds for it to catch. Ilya keeping guard, as you see. Yes, well, I know we killed that ogre earlier. I am freezing, so I need to get this campfire started. You created a fragile fire that will last for 1 hour. Well done. You can now add more fuel to increase the warmth and duration of your campfire. Select flickering, crackling or roaring campfire recipes to view the required material. Larger campfires can be used to cook food and grant bonuses. I have completed the tutorial and we now have a fire going. I can now add more things to the fire if I want. So I will add some paper. And some more wood. And make a flickering campfire that will burn for 3 hours. There you go. I can now leave that and the campfire will burn for 3 hours. The only problem with this is that a campfire only produces so much heat. What you need is something to catch it in. So ideally you should be pitching a tent. To do that, I go into my inventory. I'm going to use my large fur tent. Now it used to be half a drop. And you come out of the menu and that no longer works. So I'll take my tent back, go back into my inventory, and this time if I click on it, it gives me the ability to build it. Just push it back from the fire a little bit more. Don't want it catching fire. We'll do there. No, don't do that. I want to place that here. It will slowly start to build my camp. You'll see we have a nice fur tent. Which I can go into. And I will start to warm up in here because the warmth is being trapped inside the building. Turn around and put your arms out there, that's better. As you'll see, I'm warming up nicely now. I feel completely warm. And I can now rest or do whatever I want to do in my tent for the next few hours. Fur tents are better for keeping you warm in a cold area. But you'll notice I also have a leather tent. So I will also place that one down. And let's put it down here a little bit. There we go, so we're not to get too confused. Place it here. Yes, Edward, you're getting your hands warmed on nothing. Fire's behind you, you fool. We now have a large leather tent as well. It's a little bit too far from the fire probably to catch heat. But these are better for when it is wet. As you can imagine, leather doesn't absorb the water, it passes off of that, whereas a fur tent will get sodden. Alright, so we have camp set up, but there are a few other things we can do with our campfire. So let's just go on to it. You'll see we have skills. If we click on skills, it will show the skill system tutorial. The special skills tree can be accessed from lit campfires. By default, camping skill is available. Other mods add their own skills, including Frostfall. Like normal skills, click on a node in the tree to learn about it and potentially unlock it. You must start with the bottommost node. Only one rank in a node is required to advance to the next node in the tree. These skills have unique methods of progression. Click About Skill option when selecting a node to learn about the skill and how you advance it. If more than one skill is available, special torch bugs will appear. Selecting them will display the previous or next skill. To exit the skill system, select the red torch bug or simply walk away from the campfire. Okay, so we should now have a floating axe. Any second, there we are. You see, if I select Firecraft, it will tell me light campfires 2 seconds faster in all weather conditions using the strike stone. 0 or 4 ranks, perks to increase, next perk progress 33%. Can also talk about camping. Skilled campers can build a fire even in the worst weather and make more effective use of their surroundings. Light campfires and sleeping tents once per day to earn perks. Each new perk requires a few more actions. Perks to increase 0, next perk progress 33%. So I'm 33% towards my next perk here. You'll notice we have 2 torch bugs floating up here and a red one down here. If I click on the one that says next skill, sorry, my fault, drill weapon. If I click on the next skill, you'll see it changes from an axe to the Frostfall one. This is the Frostfall icon. If I select adaptation, increase warmth rating by 20, and I haven't got any peaks to increase, and I'm 24% towards the next one. About endurance. The art of withstanding the elements, survive longer in cold and wet conditions, and make better use of worn equipment. Spend time in the rain or in cold climates to earn perks. Each new perk requires spending a little longer. So I'm 24% towards my first perk there. So you see, the perks are going to be progressing the more I actually do camping and the more I spend time in this cold climate. And to exit this menu system, if we click on the exit skills bug, you'll see they disappear and we're back to having a normal campfire. Just want to show you one more thing before we finish this episode. So if we just quit the game, you will notice that we have a warning up here in Mod Organizer and that there are files in our overwrite mod. Double click, you'll see we have an SKSE file, plugins, and they are Frostfall data and Campfire data. And all this is the settings that we have set up in the game so far. Obviously I don't want to lose them, so I'm going to make a mod, call it Frostfall settings, and just enable it. We have no plugin from it, so we can just leave it there. Next time I go into test, all my settings, all my keys that I've set up for when I'm chopping wood, etc. are all set. Right guys, well, there is a lot more to this mod, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy discovering the new bits as I go back into my playthrough. But for the time being, I think I've taken up enough of your time. If this has helped, give me a like, write a comment, maybe even subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.